Think about how many photographs you might see in a day. Facebook, magazines, billboards, textbooks, photos are all around us. We're going to take a look now at how photos became such an important part of our visual landscape. Most photographs we see are clearer than this one, which is the earliest known permanent photo. It was taken by Joseph Nipsey from the window of his room in Paris in 1826. People knew how to create an image using a camera obscura since it was described by the Chinese philosopher Mo Ti in 5th century BC. He formally recorded the creation of an inverted image that was formed by light rays passing through a pinhole into a darkened room. He called this darkened room a collecting place, or the locked treasure room. What changed in 1826 was that Nipsey discovered how to use chemicals to fix his image permanently in place on a metal plate. Thanks to another Frenchman, Louis Daguerre, photo quality improved quickly, and in 1838 he created this daguerreotype, again by shooting out of a window high up above the streets of Paris. This was taken early in the morning of a busy workday. Does anything strike you as odd? There are no people, except if you look carefully in the lower left corner, a man is having his shoes shined. They appear to be the only people in Paris that morning because of the length of time that the aperture or lens opening needed to be open for enough light to fall upon the metal plate. That plate was inside the camera. Everyone else was moving, so their images were not captured. Only the building, trees, and the two men were in place long enough for the light rays to bounce off of them and into the camera to be recorded on the sensitized plate. The need to sit still in order to be seen in a photo accounts for the generally very miserable expressions on early photo subjects' faces. To have one's photo taken involved dressing up for a visit to a professional photography studio, where you would sit still for anywhere between 5 to 60 minutes, depending on the amount of light in the room. To ensure that the subjects didn't move, early studios used neck braces and confining chairs to keep them quite still while the exposure was made. In 1878, the former governor of California, Leland Stanford, a racehorse owner, hired Edward Muybridge to undertake some photographic studies. Stanford had taken a bet on whether all 4 of a racehorse's hooves are off the ground at the same time. So Muybridge set up a line of cameras with tripwires, each of which would trigger a picture for a split second as the horse ran past. The results, as shown in this plate, settled the debate, demonstrating that photography could help us to understand the world in ways that had never before been possible. Without the benefit of a camera, previous artists' attempts to paint a galloping horse often showed all 4 hooves stretched out, front and back. But from Muybridge's photos, we know that movement never actually happens in nature. As cameras became smaller and more portable, it was easier for photographers to record events outside the studio, such as The Steerage by Alfred Stieglitz in 1907. This photo shows travelers in the lower class section of a steamer going from New York to Bremen, Germany. The ability to document real life allowed people to see things for themselves, often contributing to changing attitudes. Louis Hine toured the United States as official photographer for the National Labor Committee, taking photographs of child workers in southern cotton mills. In 1916 and 17, he traveled 50,000 miles in his research quest, and when his photographs were seen in Washington, they contributed to new laws that prevented children from climbing onto machines as they were running in order to pull out cotton that was jamming the metal parts. Many complex questions were raised as images began to shape our view of events. Photojournalism magazines, such as Life, made us believe that we saw documentary truth on their pages. For example, at the height of the Dust Bowl in the 1930s, photographer Dorothea Lange photographed Florence Owens Thompson and her children at a roadside rest stop. Although the photo has come to symbolize the migration to find work in California, Thompson, a Native American from Oklahoma, had already lived in California for a decade when Lang photographed her. The immediate popularity of the images in the press didn't help the family as they sought seasonal farm work. Contrary to the despair that the famous image seems to embody, however, Thompson was an active participant in farm labor struggles in the 1930s. Her daughter later commented, "She was a very strong woman. She was a leader. I think that's one of the reasons she resented the photo, because it didn't show her in that light, but rather as a grapes of wrath stereotype." Only 164 years after Nipsey's first photograph, the Hubble telescope was launched into orbit, providing scientists and the public with spectacular images of deep space. One of the most technologically advanced pieces of equipment that humans have ever put into orbit, Hubble has helped researchers make important discoveries about our universe. Henri Cartier-Bresson pioneered the concept of the decisive moment, as shown in this photo. And his work was made possible by the small 35mm film camera available in 1925. And now, for most of us, a digital camera is an everyday tool, helping us to document so many moments of our lives. Just as we discussed how plays and films are based on the values of the time and place in which they were made, the photos used in advertising show us the same thing. Consider this ad from the 1960s. It may seem funny to us now to see such old-fashioned gender roles, with the woman gazing adoringly at her man as he blows smoke into her face. But think about this as you look at current ads in magazines. What messages are they sending? What values are they based on? And will they seem just as silly to us in the future?